Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're back over in the test account and we're going to be looking at Leviathan and exactly what he's bringing. Now in here you can try him for free for 3 days. I really like how they kind of broke this, how it's kind of segmented into everything that he does have in here. Signing gifts, you will get a ton of rewards. So in here, not only did they give us 50 of the insignias, they also gave us the 6 discounted pulls. They're also giving us what, 6, another 12? Another 12 in here, you get some diamonds, you get some chests out of here. So make sure you're picking these up. So pretty good in there. The hero parchment, this one should yield us another 10 insignias. So now we're up to what? That's 12 plus 50, that's 62. This makes 72. And then out of the bountiful trials or the trials that are up, I don't think they're up right now, which means the Voyage of Wonder that is up will give us another 10. So that's up to 72, which is pretty good. Draconic Gifts, again, this is the one that we actually redeemed this morning. Event deals, this is where you can purchase him. Now, he does have a very cool, and you can see it is kind of overlapping with, right here with Valfira. But overall, you do get some free resources out of here. Again, another one out of here. Any place we can get the insignias, I'm all about it. And then you do have a pretty decent discount on the amount that you can buy these. So if you are a light spender, if you are not free to play, maybe coming in here, possibly picking up a couple of these, because even looking at the price versus what they have in here, pretty decent deal. I know also when the last one came out, it had a pretty decent deal around the 6th anniversary, but overall seeing a little bit more out of there with the event deals. And then of course the bountiful trials. Now I want to hop in here. I want to see what this tank can do. Now, we tried this a little bit earlier, and it's really hard with support heroes. It's really hard with tanks because when it comes to scaling, a lot of the other heroes, a lot of the different classes make a big difference. But I want to see if we can get him to survive on his own. So looking in here, let's go ahead and take this. So 360, I believe, is going to be even to where he is at. I think they all start at 360, which they do right there. So let's take this up a little bit higher. Let's go to 410. Let's see with, again, a Draconic hero with a big hero like this. And of course, in here, we do get him completely built. Comes in with the shield, has that knockback. So any hero that is going to be prevalent to that knockback might make a big difference. You'll notice that overall the energy, and right here comes the ult. I want to see what this is doing as far as all of the crowd control, all of these random kind of knockups that are flying around. And I don't feel like systematically that he is going to have enough strength to kill anybody solo. So again, some of the tanks, some of the Draconic heroes, stacking some in the back, doesn't mean they're not going to have utility, but looking at, of course, bringing up and taking extra damage in here. There is Silas in here, so again, a little bit of a healing in there. Now, the conch shell, I think, might have already died. The conch shell, and I don't like that it pops up right on the enemy side, because it seems like it does die pretty quick with that conch shell. And again, trying to get through here. So let's see the damage in here that we did get out of this hero. So 152, and again, being the only one in there, that's reasonable. So let's drop him in the front. Now, this team doesn't have as much healing in here. Comes right in, does that shielding. And I feel like overall, he's not super impressive, short of that tanking aspect. And look at the HP is going down. He is taking some pretty decent damage in there. And that is our first ult. So once the first ult goes off, you can see we get a little bit of energy in there. And yeah, he is right back to that full HP. Yeah, crowd control in here is going to be massive. The damage boost in here is, of course, going to be massive as well. All right, but let's see at what point can he no longer hold his own as a tank. 149 in there. Again, taking a lot of damage. So let's bump this up another 5. We'll take it to 460 in here. This is a 100 level deficiency. Also remember, all the damage is on him. So I'm kind of wondering in here, again, damage-wise, what's it going to look like trying to get through here? And I don't see where the shell's in the back. The shell is right here. I was kind of wondering where that landed. Last time we fought, I thought it was towards the middle. But even the conch shell itself, so you're talking around 30 seconds? Yeah, about 30 seconds before it was completely extinguished. Yeah, I love, guys. He is knocking people and crowd controlling people everywhere. And this shield is not going away, which is pretty cool as well. Again, I know the enemy side, we do have a lot of healing in here. Again, he's immune to crowd control. So that does make it a little bit easier in here because you're not getting hit with all these different things. One target left. And it looks like it is still random on the summons because, yeah, back of the field, front of the field. So even there, it didn't look like maybe one of those hit Respin. So this might lower a lot of that efficiency because there's two. It looks like three hit Respin that time. And I think we're going to run out of time in here overall. Yeah, but let's see where. So that 248, let's see where he dies. Let's turn this up another 6. So we'll go to 510 or another 5. I want to see when he starts dying out. Because I know we tried this with Aethys. Again, as a tank, it's a little bit more difficult. Let's speed this up a little bit. I'm just wondering, when are they going to get through the shield? Because right now, this is 150 level deficiency. And his HP is coming down a little, but he does have a heal. Between the shielding and the healing, this is pretty solid for a tank. And I always worry when it comes to tanking if they're going to have the ability to actually take damage or just fold very, very early. But he seems pretty solid. Now remember, he brings the attack damage. He brings the amplification for a lot of different things. So even though he's a tank, a lot of support in there. Yeah, and I don't think damage-wise, we're not going to have enough to get through here damage-wise. They heal too much at this level. But again, that Dragon Speak damage still working pretty well. 446 million. Again, he could even be kind of like a sub DPS in some of these, just because not only is he doing a pretty decent amount of damage, but he's also bringing a lot of buffs to the team, which is going to be interesting. Now, this is a 200 level deficiency in here, and we are knocking this out solo. Yeah, the crowd control. Conch shell does go down. Again, that 30-second mark and that shell is down. There we go. Took him down. Yeah, I mean, looking at a 200 level deficiency, did take him down in there. So let's drop somebody else in here. Who else we got? Let's stick with the Draconic. And you know what? Let's go with let's go with the basic one. Let's put Pulina in here. Again, a lot of the other ones are going to offer some more defense, a lot of different. Now, Pulina, of course, a lot of damage in here, and thought there was going to be some utility. And even while that crowd control is going on, is everybody else in here is literally just pumping out a lot of damage. Well, that's going on. 436. You know what? Let's drop this out. Let's try some of these other damage dealers in here. Because I'm wondering, like, let's say if we drop in, let's drop in Halia. Again, Leviathan just being able to bring a lot of defensive mechanics in here. Even shielding up Halia. Yeah, I mean, 2 Highborns, this just melts it. Look at that Dragon Speak damage. And both of them are kind of massive when it comes to the build. So 456 in there. Let's see if we can crank this up a couple more levels. Yeah, Treasure Scramble, this is going to be legit when it comes to the crowd control in here. I'm just happy he's not folding over. I just remember with the Awakened version of Lucius that he did fold over. He did die out pretty quick. That ultimate ability, that crowd control in there. And he did die right there, so he does go down. Again, 200 level deficiency. Damage-wise, yeah, look at that. Guys, he doesn't put out anything. I mean, next to nothing. But again, as a buffer, looking through kind of the skills and abilities in here, that is kind of the role that he plays. So you are going to be required to build him up a little bit further, because when we start looking at the signature item, you know, the plus 40 buffing up this attack rating, buffing up a couple other things. So allied heroes with that Ocean's Blessing, their attack rating and defense will go up to that 70%. And then I believe it is the 60, which, or no, the 30. The 30 in here, the reduction from the Ocean Blessing also increases damage dealt by 40%. So again, it seems like he's going to be a pretty good buffer, even though he's a tank. Does take a little bit of damage, does have a little bit of that shielding capacity, but overall, I think it's going to be the buffing aspect where we're going to see him being used. And I always wonder when a new hero drops, if they're being used into any other point within the game, if we're looking at different game modes, if we're looking at a couple different places. Is he already being dropped in formations? Did Wales already get the trial version or really build him out? So there is Scion, which is in squad 1. We have Envy in there, and there he goes. Right there is Leviathan in the very first one. And it looks like this player built it out because we also do have the spell bondage within there. I have the plus 40 signature item. So absolutely built this out kind of day one. Again, whale players always have the opportunity to do that. Wonder if the Nightmare Corridor, if this is being used either, again, as a buffer. There's a Thalia in that first formation. We have Scion, again, making a pretty good showing. There is Liberta. We have, again, the OG version of Baden in there. Marcio with Laios. And then the final one does have Randy, which, again, it's super early, guys. Not saying it isn't going to be used, but it seems like overall, already seeing, again, dropped into a formation immediately with that attack rating buff, with that damage buff, really going to make a big difference. Now, unfortunately for me, only having 200 of the insignias plus what we're getting, not going to be able to build them, unfortunately. Recommend about 600 Draconic insignias before you actually get in there and start building them. That way you have the ability to build them. We're going to have to see, though, the effectiveness of this hero without having the big build. Could really make a big difference just having him at Mythic with the signature item, but you would be missing that plus 30 engraving, which amplifies the damage. So, all right, guys, so that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and as always, thank you guys for watching.